Anderson, Berryhill, Blakesley, Calderon, Canella, Corbett, Correa, De Leon, DeSaulnier, Dutton, Emerson, Evans, Fuller, Gaines, Hancock, Harmon, Hernandez, Huff, Kehoe, Lamaffa, Leno, Ted Lieu, Carol Lieu, Lowenthal, Negrete McLeod, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Rubio, Runner, Semidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Vargas, Walters, Wolk, Wright, Wyland, Yee.
Members, a quorum is present. If the members and our guests beyond the rail and in the gallery will please stand, we'll be led in prayer by our chaplain, Rabbi Mona Alfie, after which please remain standing, and Senator Noreen Evans will lead us in the pledge.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
O gracious and loving God, we give thanks to you on this beautiful morning for all that has been accomplished over these many months. As we begin this final day of session, we give thanks for being given the opportunity to serve others, to care for others, to carry their concerns with our own is a sacred privilege. To be granted the gift of being engaged in work that can uplift the lives of others is a blessed thing. To be given the responsibility and trust of our neighbors and fellow citizens is an honor never to be taken for granted. May you bless those who serve others. May you grant them satisfaction in their work, and may you bless all of their worthy endeavors. May this be God's will. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Mona. Have a good weekend. Members, we're at privileges of the floor. We are at privileges of the floor. Any introductions, recognitions? Members, we're going to move on to messages from the governor, and they will be deemed read. Messages from the assembly will be deemed read. Reports of committees will be deemed read, and the amendments adopted. We are at motions and resolutions. Members, we are pursuant to Senate Rule 2910, under motions and resolutions, the following bills are referred to the Rules Committee. File item 26, which is SB 126, and file item 39, which is SB 931. No objection. All righty. Members could report to the Senate floor. We'll take up the daily file. Before we start on the Assembly third reading, the Secretary will read the second reading file.
Assembly Bill 378, 621, and Assembly Bill 983.
Members, we're going to move to Assembly third reading, beginning with file item 43. File item 43. Senator Rubio, you are on file item 43, but do you have any other business that you'd like to bring to the House attention? Senator Rubio, at your desk.
Thank you, Madam President. I would be remiss if I did not introduce my secret weapon for this last day of session. If anyone thinks they won't support my bill, they'll have to say no to my princess, my precious daughter that my wife and I have been blessed with. This is Ileana Rubio.
Welcome, Ileana. Welcome. Thank you for coming to your state Senate floor. Senator Dutton, for what purpose?
For an introduction.
Without objection, sir.
Well, with us this morning we have a young man by the name of Chris Fernandez. He's with he's a student at Cal Berkeley. He happens to be a student of our former Republican leader Dick Ackerman, who now teaches at Berkeley, and so I want to welcome Chris to the gallery.
Welcome to your Senate floor. Members, file item 44 still has no floor manager. I'm starting to, Senator Negrete McLeod, you still haven't heard from Mr. Fortani. File item 46 has no floor manager. File item 47 has been referred to rules. Ms. Hancock, any intention of taking up file item 48 by Mr. Calderon? Short? All righty. File item 49, Senator Padilla? Pass. File item 50, also Senator Padilla. File item 51, Ms. Evans? Pass. Senator Price is not at his desk. Senator Cedillo, are you taking up file item 53? Pass. File item 54, no floor manager. File item 55 is Mr. Simitian's item. He's not at his desk. File item 56, Ms. Fuller is not at her desk. File item 57, Senator Lieu. Senator Ted Lieu is not at his desk. File item 58, Mr. Padilla. You're waiting amendments. File item 59, no floor manager. Mr. Vargas, I'm just going to go back to Ms. Evans for one moment, and then you're next. Ms. Evans, Senator Evans.
Thank you, Madam President. At the request of the author, I'd like to move this item to the inactive file.
Thank
Item
you.
51.
File item 51, the desk will note, goes to the inactive. Senator Vargas, and then I'll go to Senator Fuller.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Just for purposes of introduction,
Without objection.
thank you. I'd like to introduce Leslie Akers Anderson, my Chief of Staff's wife, who just had a baby, Mateo. So I'd like to introduce her. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Welcome to the State Senate. Senator Fuller, did you have an item? For
Yes.
what purpose? For what purpose, please?
If I may take up AB 238, Huber and Fuller.
And do you have the file item number? 56, okay.
56.
Members, we'll go to file item 56, and the Secretary will read.
Assembly Bill 238 by Assembly Member Huber enacting to motor vehicle sales and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Ms. Fuller.
Members, AB 238 represents a consensus approach to a problem that was facing local car dealers in my district. After some careful collaboration between interested parties to ensure that consumers are adequately protected from unscrupulous dealers and that dealers who make disclosure violations are held accountable, we have reached agreement on this legislation, which will help ensure that dealers are not faced with business-threatening catastrophic lawsuits. This bill has no opposition, and I respectfully request your aye vote. Thank you.
Members, is there debate or discussion on file item 56? Seeing none, is there any objection to well, we haven't established a unanimous roll call. I'm getting ahead of myself. Then the Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist, Anderson, Berryhill, Blakesley, I. Calderon, Canella, I. Corbett, I. Correa, I. De Leon, DeSaulnier, Dutton, I. Emerson, I. Evans, I. Fuller, I. Gaines, Hancock, Harmon, I. Hernandez, I. Huff, I. Kehoe, I. LaMalfa, Leno, I. Ted Lieu, I. Carol Lieu, I. Lowenthal, I. Negrete McLeod, I. Padilla, I. Pavley, I. Price, Rubio, I. Runner, I. Simitian, Steinberg, Strickland, Vargas, I. Walters, I. Wolk, I. Wright, Wyland, I. Yee. Yee, aye. Gaines, aye. LaMalfa, aye. Berryhill, aye.
Members, this is an urgency measure. Call the absent members.
Alquist. Anderson. Aye. Calderon. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Hancock. Aye. Price. Smidian. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Wright.
Ayes 33, noes 0 on the urgency, and then ayes 33, noes 0 on the measure. Senator Corbett, for what purpose?
Thank you very much, Madam President. Under motions and resolutions.
Without objection.
Thank you. I have a letter for the file. I'd like to submit a letter to the file regarding my Senate Bill 459. It's been approved by this House earlier, I guess it was yesterday, and it's been cleared by both sides.
Both sides have the letter. It will go in the journal. The desk will note. Thank you, Senator Corbett. Members, any items on the third reading file, assembly bills, that any member wishes to take up now? Members will take a look at unfinished business Senate bills. Senator Liu, for what purpose?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a third reading file for assembly.
We will stay there for you.
Thank you.
What item number?
It is 57.
Members, we're going to go to file item 57, and the Secretary will read.
Assembly Bill 1426 by Assembly Member Solario, enacting to workers' compensation, declaring the urge thereof to take effect immediately.
Senator Liu.
Thank you, Madam President, Senators. This bill was recently amended at the request of the administration to eliminate an unnecessary governor's appointment to a position that is currently vacant. Historically, the Division of Workers' Compensation was managed administratively by a governor's appointee titled the Administrative Director. The division's adjudication system was operated by an appointed Workers' Compensation Appeals Board. In 2002, an additional position, the Court Administrator, was created with the thought that this independent appointee would be able to create efficiencies in the system. Unfortunately, that has not worked out. Instead, the Division Authority has created confusion, inconsistency, and inefficiency. This bill simply repeals that statute and assigns the duties back to the appropriate officials in Division of Workers' Compensation. There's no opposition to the bill, and respect to the request, and I vote.
Members, is there debate or discussion on file item 57? Any debate or discussion? Seeing none, the Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist. Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Blakesley. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Canella. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Emerson. Aye. Evans. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Harmon. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. Aye. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Rubio. Aye. Runner. Aye. Smidian. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Vargas. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee. Aye.
Call the absent members.
Alquist. Correa. Aye. Dutton. Evans. Aye. Hancock. Price. Smidian. Strickland.
Ayes 34, noes 0 on the urgency, and then ayes 34, noes 0 on the measure, and that passes. Members, any member wish to take up an assembly bill on the third reading file? File items 43 through 59. Anyone want to take up any item there before I move to unfinished business? Then we'll move to unfinished business, file item 21 through 40. You know, if you're... Members, we're on unfinished business Senate bills. Senator Leno, there's a budget and fiscal review on item 21. Pass, thank you. And Senator Yee, you have file item 22. He's not at his desk. Senator Steinberg, you have file item 23. I'm assuming that's a pass. File item 23. Then we're on to file item 24. Mr. DeSaulnier. Oh, okay. Thank you. File item 25. Senator Liu, are you prepared to take that up?
Yes.
The Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 43 by Senator Liu, an act relating to public social services.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I ask for your support on concurrence for SB 43. The bill has bipartisan support and no opposition. Amendments in the Assembly clarified eligibility language at the request of the administration, changed the state program name to match a title change in federal law, and corrected a federal code reference number. This bill will make the state's CalFresh employment and training program more effective and equitable, and I ask for your support on this bill.
Members, is there any debate on file item 25? Senator Berryhill on this item? Alrighty. No debate. Is there any objection to a unanimous roll call on 25? There's an objection. We'll call the roll.
Alquist, Anderson, Berryhill, Blakesley, I. Calderon, I. Canella, I. Corbett, I. Correa, De Leon, I. DeSaulnier, Dutton, Emerson, I. Evans, I. Fuller, I. Gaines, I. Hancock, I. Herman, Hernandez, I. Huff, I. Kehoe, I. LaMalfa, I. Leno, I. Ted Lieu, Carol Lieu, I. Lowenthal, I. Negrete McLeod, I. Padilla, I. Pavley, I. Price, I. Rubio, I. Runner, I. Samidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Vargas, I. Walters, I. Wolk, I. Wright, I. Wyland, I. Yee, Yee, I.
Call
Anderson,
the absent
I.
members.
Harmon, I. Alquist, Berryhill, I. Correa, DeSaulnier, Dutton, Ted Lieu, I. Samidian, Steinberg, Strickland.
Members, I'm going to put this item on call. Senator Alquist is on her way to the chambers. Members, let's return to motions and... Oh, Senator Berryhill, I'm sorry. For what purpose?
Yeah, I've got file item 35, Madam President. On unfinished business.
Senator Berryhill will go to file item 35. The Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 752 by Senator Berryhill, an act relating to entitlements.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, SB 752 would assist nonprofit sportsmen's organizations in their efforts to raise awareness of land management and wildlife conservation by allowing members of the public to voluntarily release their contact information to eligible nonprofit groups. Amendments taken in the Assembly would provide greater flexibility to DFG in determining eligibility of participating nonprofit conservation groups and provide that any nonprofit which misuses individuals' contact information be prohibited from participating in the LADS checkoff box for at least 5 years. I ask for your concurrence on this Assembly amendments. Thank you.
Members, is there debate or discussion on file item 35? Any debate or discussion on 35? Seeing none, is there any objection to unanimous roll call? Any objection? Seeing none, ayes 38, noes 0. That measure is adopted. Senator Steinberg, we're going to go to motions and resolutions, members. Without objection, pursuant to Joint Rule 33.1, Joint Rule 10.5 will be suspended for Assembly Bill 900, which will come to the floor. Assembly Bill 900. Is there any objection? Senator Harmon, for what purpose?
Parliamentary inquiry. I believe at the end of the committee hearing that concluded just shortly a while ago, it was going to go to appropriations first. Does this mean it's going to bypass appropriations?
It does indeed, sir. This rule would send it directly to the Senate floor.
There's no opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, and without objection, Assembly Bill 900, the rule is suspended. It heads to the floor.
Hi, George. How you doing, buddy?
Senator Evans, for what purpose?
Under motions and resolutions.
Without objection, Senator Evans.
I request permission to submit a letter to the Journal to clarify the intent of SB 470. The letter has been approved by both sides.
Thank you, Senator Evans. The desk will note SB 470. Both sides have seen the letter.
Alfredo, the reap's okay? Okay. Tony. Oh.
Members, if you will indulge me, in order to clean out the assembly file, our third reading file, starting with item 43. Members, I need your attention because the bills that have no floor manager at this point are not taken up. I'm moving to inactive from the dais. So if you want to take up an assembly bill, you need to let me know. We're starting with file item 43. Senator Rubio. Senator Rubio. No, Senator Rubio, if we're not able to take it up at this point, the item goes to the inactive. All righty. File item 43 moves to the inactive. Thank you, sir. File item 44 has no floor manager by Mr. Solorio. File item 44 by Assemblymember Solorio. Any floor manager? That item goes to the inactive. File item 45, Ms. Negretti McLeod. That will go by Mr. Furutani. That goes to the inactive. File item 46 by Mr. Amiano. Is there a floor manager for file item 46? File item 46 moves to the inactive. 47 has been referred to rules. 48, Senator Hancock. is not at her desk. File item 49. Senator Padilla, are we able to move that to the inactive? You need to let us know how long, what you're waiting on and when it's going to arrive. 15 minutes. And the same with item 50? Senator Padilla, the same with item 50? File item 51, Senator Evans, you moved that to the inactive already. Okay, and Senator Price, file item 52? Okay, we'll pass temporarily. File item 53, the same. Mr. Solario, file item 54. Is there a floor manager for file item 54? Any floor manager? That item goes to the... Alrighty, 54 goes to the inactive. File item 55, Senator submitting is not at his desk. 56, 57 has been dispensed with. Senator Padilla, are you checking with Mr. Bradford on 58?
Madam President, my understanding is that at some point will be referred to Rules Committee for amendments today and back to the floor.
To be amended. File item 52, Senator Price moves that item to the inactive with the permission of the author. File item 52. Hi, Bill. '59, Senator Emerson passes on temporarily. Members, we will go on to unfinished business, Senate bills. File item 21. File item 21 is passed for now. File item 22, Senator Yee's not at his desk. File item 23. File item 24, Senator DeSaulnier. Okay. File item 25, Senator Liu, you're still waiting on that? Senator Liu? Carol Liu? What did... Senator Liu, why don't we'll lift the call on 25, allow Senator Ahlquist to vote and close the roll. File item 25, members, I'm going to lift the call. The Secretary will call the absent members.
Ahlquist. Aye. Correa. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Smidian. Dutton. Aye. Smidian. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Strickland, aye.
Ayes 39, no 0. That measure passes. File item 27, Ms. Hancock, not at her desk. File item 28. We'll pass on that momentarily. I've got two, I think, so let's wait. File item 29, Senator DeSaulnier.
Yes.
The Secretary will, you're passing.
No, I'm not. I'm taking the bill up. I know that's a shock.
The Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 429 by Senator DeSaulnier, enacting to before and after school programs.
Senator DeSaulnier.
I know. It's always a little shocking when I'm prepared. Members, this bill comes back to us. It creates greater flexibility for after-school programs, both federal funding and Prop 49 funding. The Assembly amendments just made sure that school districts in these tough economic times could adjust to the flexibility we're giving them. It's gotten bipartisan support. There's lots and lots of support, as you can read in your analysis. I would ask for your aye vote.
Members, is there debate or discussion on this item? Any debate or discussion on file item 29? The Secretary will call the roll.
Ahlquist. Aye. Anderson. No Berryhill. No Blakesley. Calderon. I. Canella. No Corbett. I. Correa. I. De Leon. I. DeSaulnier. I. Dutton. No Emerson. I. Evans. I. Fuller. I. Gaines. No Hancock. Harmon. I. Hernandez. I. Huff. Kehoe.
Aye.
I. LaMalfa. No Leno. Ted Lieu. I. Carol Lieu. I. Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. I. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price. I. Rubio. I. Runner. No. Smidian. Steinberg. I. Strickland. Vargas. I. Walters. No Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. No Yee. Yee, aye.
Call the absent members.
Blakesley. I. Hancock. Huff. I. Leno. I. Smidian. Strickland. Strickland, aye. Hancock, aye.
Ayes 30, noes 9. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. Senator Yee is ready to take up file item 22. We'll go to that item, then we'll go to Senator Pavley. File item 22, the Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 136 by Senator Yee enacting to public contracts.
Senator Yee.
Thank you very much, Madam President. And Senators, Senate Bill 136 simply expands the definition of prevailing wage in the Labor Code that, to include energy service contracts. By doing so, we'll ensure that all private contracts that perform energy efficiency work in the public entity are subject to prevailing wage requirements. Amendments taken in the Assembly basically have shaped this bill to address the deficiency in the current law regarding prevailing wage. Subsequent amendments also change the code section to accomplish this from the Government Code to the Labor Code. It also added co-authors, made two technical changes to address drafting errors. With these changes, SB 136 will provide clarity to make sure that existing prevailing wage laws include energy service contracts. And finally, I'm submitting a letter to the Journal today, approved by both sides, to clarify a point regarding specific job classification that was requested by Siemens Corporation. And as I indicate, the letters have been approved by both sides and satisfied their concern. With that, urge an aye vote.
Members, is there debate or discussion? Senator Blakesley.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd urge a no vote on this measure. We're already working very hard to radically rebuild our energy infrastructure to be the cleanest, greenest, and most technologically advanced in probably the nation, possibly the world. And the cost estimates proffered by the Public Utilities Commission estimates that to achieve these higher standards will cost ratepayers many, many tens of billions of dollars. For us to then add further costs with no direct benefit to the ratepayer, I think is not only the wrong action, it in fact makes it more difficult for us to achieve these very lofty goals that have been passed by this body. I'd therefore, again, ask for a no vote.
Members, further debate or discussion on the item? Any further? Senator Yee, you may close.
Thank you very much. And with all due respect to my esteemed colleague, these are projects in public entities. Under normal circumstance, these projects in public entities would in fact be required to pay prevailing wage. This is a new era. This is about energy efficient types of work. These are work that was never anticipated when the prevailing wage laws came into effect. All this does now is to say that this work that is going to be done in public entity ought to be subjected to the prevailing wage, and that's all this does. With that, urge an aye vote.
Members, debate having ceased, the Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. No Berryhill. No Blakesley. Calderon. Aye. Canella. No Corbett. Aye. Correa. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Emerson. No Evans. Aye. Fuller. No Gaines. No Hancock. Harmon. No Hernandez. I Huff. No Kehoe.
Aye.
I Lamalfa. Leno. I Ted Lieu. I Carol Lieu. I Lowenthal. I Negrete McLeod. I Padilla. I Pavley. Price. I Rubio. I Runner. No Semidian. Steinberg. I Strickland. Vargas. I Walters. No Wolk. I Wright. I Wyland. No Yee. Yee I. Blakesley. No. Correa. Dutton. No. Hancock. Lamalfa. No. Pavley. Semidian. Strickland. Hancock, aye.
Ayes 22, noes 14. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. We're at file item 30 with Senator Pavley. File item 30, and the Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 454 by Senator Pavley, enacting energy.
Yes, members, this bill is back for concurrence in Assembly amendments. I view this as a common sense measure to simply help consumers get a fair deal from companies selling energy efficient products as well as services. There needs to be some enforcement so consumers actually get what they think they are buying and the benefits that come with energy efficiency. Assembly amendments clarifying permitting requirements when energy efficiency rebates are dispersed by utilities. Additional amendments were taken adding criteria that the Energy Commission must consider prior to initiating any enforcement actions. I want to let my Democratic, especially my Republican colleagues know that amendments were taken in the Assembly working collaboratively with industry that have removed all opposition to this bill. There's no opposition. Due to the amendments taken relating to enforcement actions, the bill is now supported by a broad base of coalition, labor, business, and environmental organizations. I ask for your aye vote. It's on behalf of the consumers.
Any debate or discussion? Senator Harmon. Senator Harmon.
Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Harmon, just one moment.
Sure.
Members, let's pay a little attention to Senator Harmon.
A question for the author.
Senator Pavley, will you take a question from Senator Harmon?
Absolutely.
Senator Harmon, go ahead.
Thank you, Senator Pavley. Our Republican analysis does show, and I just want to verify, opposition from 1, the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers, 2, Consumer Electronics Association, and 3, Sony Electronics. I wanted to see if you believe that, yes, that opposition has in fact been removed.
I know definitively the Consumer Electronics Association and Sony and several other trade associations have all removed their opposition. After the hearing taken in the Assembly, I got together with them, my staff, and then worked together to provide some amendments. They have now removed all opposition to the bill.
All right. Thank you very much.
Any further debate or discussion? Any further debate or discussion? Senator Pavley, you may close.
Ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. I. Anderson. No Berryhill. No Blakesley. Calderon. I. Canella. No Corbett. I. Correa. No De Leon. I. DeSaulnier. I. Dutton. No Emerson. Evans. I. Fuller. Gaines. No Hancock. I. Harmon. No Hernandez. I. Huff. No Kehoe. Lamalfa. No. Leno. I. Ted Lieu. I. Carol Lieu. I. Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. I. Padilla. Pavley. Aye. Price.
Aye.
I. Rubio. I. Runner. No. Smidian. Steinberg. I. Strickland. No. Vargas. I. Walters. No. Wolk. I. Wright. Wyland. No. Yee. Yee, aye. Kehoe, aye. Correa, no to aye. Blakesley, aye.
Call the absent members.
Smidian, aye. Emerson. Fuller. No. Emerson, no. Padilla. Aye. Wright. Wright, aye. Emerson.
Ayes 26, noes 13. The Assembly amendments are concurred with. Mr. Pro Tem, what purpose do you rise?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. For the purpose of taking up Assembly Bill 900.
Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 900 by Assembly Member Buchanan, enacting to environmental quality and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. There's no question that our legislative year, and more importantly, the year that too many Californians have experienced, has been dominated by an unemployment rate that exceeds the national average, 12% in California. And in certain industries like the construction industry, it is significantly higher. We have grappled all year with the question of what tools exist at our disposal to help reduce that number. For we know the unemployment rate is also a product of the national economy and the international economy. And while we may not be able to solve it all, we all agree that we have an obligation to do everything in our power to try to help put Californians back to work. This bill attempts, and I believe is maybe our boldest effort yet to try to do that. It essentially says that for projects which exceed the usual threshold for project approval at a local level, for projects which are green and clean and contain sufficient investment that it will create, undoubtedly, many, many high-wage jobs, that we should grant those project applicants the ability to seek original review for any litigation in the Court of Appeal. Why does this matter and what is the benefit? By going straight to the Court of Appeal, a good project can cut 2.5 to 3 years off the timeline to get from an idea and an application to actual construction. What does it mean in the real world? When somebody who is thinking of financing a project decides whether or not to make that threshold decision to invest their money, if they're told up front that they're going to have to comply with every law, they're still subject to litigation, but they can cut 2.5 to 3 years off the timeline, they're much more likely to invest. The bill itself is fairly simple. It gives project applicants the ability to seek this litigation procedure by applying to the governor. And if the governor makes findings that the project is in fact green and clean and will create high-wage jobs, the governor can so certify the project for expedited litigation. The legislature's not out. We can, within 30 days, non-concur on any decision made by the governor. No undermining of CEQA, no harm, and at the same time, a jolt of confidence for those who seek to build in California. There have been a lot of questions raised at committee about some of the technical aspects of the bill. And I'll say up front what I said in committee. We will commit to putting a cleanup bill in preprint by next week. We will work to do any and all cleanup that is necessary. We will convene the right kind of working group next week. But some would say, wait till January. Make it a 2-year bill. Get every single detail right. And for the people who are unemployed, I think they expect us to put this together now, even if we have to improve upon it later and not wait. I urge an aye vote.
Senator Strickland.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I rise in support of this bill. There's many provisions within this bill I don't like. I've made suggestions to the Pro Tem regarding the LEED certification. I think there's better ways to do it because LEED certification's usually after the project, not before. I don't like the being politicized to send it to the governor. Originally, I'd rather have a state agency deal with it than the governor because I believe that politicizes it. But all in all, on balance, I think this is supportable because I think the most important thing that we have to do here in the legislature is create jobs. We have the second highest unemployment rate in the nation, and we're in a crisis situation. I believe that Republicans and Democrats should be rolling up their sleeves and doing whatever you can to create jobs in the state of California, and I think this bill moves forward that goal. There is another amendment I talked to the Pro Tem that I'm hoping to work with him on because if we're really serious and the reason for this bill is to create jobs, there's many projects out there that can benefit from this across the state. One example, just one of many examples, is the Comcast NBC Universal project in Burbank. If we're about creating jobs immediately, there's no reason why not to have an amendment to include a project of that magnitude because that will create jobs immediately. And members, when we talk about the budget, it seems like every year we're dealing with what I call Bill Murray's movie, Groundhog Day, where we're doing the same dance year in and year out. Democrats want Republicans to raise taxes because they don't want to cut services. Republicans don't want to raise taxes, and we want to be more efficient within the government spending. There is a third way, members. The third way is by growing the economy and putting people back to work. And if we put people back to work, you don't have to make those tough decisions on reducing spending. We don't have to have people constantly asking us to take more of people's hard-earned dollars that we actually believe hurts the economy. This measure, all in all, I think is a step in the right direction. It's not perfect. I'm hoping to work with the Pro Tem on some of those issues that we've talked about. But when you look at this, by and large, I think it's supportable because we need to put people back to work and create jobs immediately. I ask for your aye vote.
Senator Denton.
Republican caucus in the Cox Lounge, please.
Republican caucus in the Republican caucus room.